Retail work. We love it, we hate it. Some of us have to go to actual shop there, and some of us have to work there. I swear to God, working retail is like one of the biggest complaints and biggest workups of most people. Like, I work retail. I do. I am 23 years old. I work retail. Whoop-de-doo. Not much I can say, really. But I do have a story about my favorite working job. The one I worked second longest at. Bed Bath Beyond. Bed Bath Beyond was my favorite retail work experience. In fact, I wasn't even working retail. I was working in the backroom area, just opening crates. And that was my favorite job. Now, sadly, that location is completely turned into an Aldi's. So, sorry, anyone who wanted to visit that place is gone. Anywho, whole point being, I worked retail there for like a year and a half. And I want to tell my exact story on corrupt management, which is something I had to deal with on a constant basis, but it didn't deter me. As well as fun memories I had meeting people that would have become my friends and I don't talk to anymore. Yeah, I have a lot of moments. So let me begin by saying that this story starts in 2019. This is after my last story when I got fired from my last job. And so in return, when I got fired, let me start back. Let me actually go back and start from the beginning. I got fired from my last job because my last job was a pain in the ass and I didn't like it. So in return, I then went through looking for another job. You know, I had a few in the middle that I worked maybe a week or two and I didn't like them because one, no, and two, they just weren't fitting. And then Bed Bath Beyond was hiring. Now, I worked a backroom job. And since I already worked factory for 3 months, I feel like maybe maybe trying to dabble again. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad, you know? Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if I tried again. So, in return, I applied for a job at Bed Bath Beyond as a backroom stalker, as well as a backroom box/crate opener. Now, to explain what these jobs are to you, and when you go behind a Bed Bath Beyond, you know, that secret door that no customer is not allowed behind, it's just a gray back room with a crate. That's it. You basically go back there, you get a knife, you open boxes. I'm not saying go back there, but I'm saying that's what's back there. Also, in the middle of the store is also a storage room. So, for anyone who thought that the Beyond section was some magical area, it was just a boring section. You didn't worry about that. So, I remember my first day. My first day was mostly doing those dumb e-learning things, which I do in my job now. But beforehand, it was doing e-learnings for 2 days straight. And I didn't know about the back room. I was learning about how to cut open things with a knife, how to be knife safe, how not to commit homicide with a box cutter, and basically all that kind of stuff. And, you know, that kind of stuff. Boring. I'm going to skip that. Basically, when I got to the back room, there was 3 people. Let's call one P, let's call one J, and call one A. I'm K, okay? That's it. That's all the names I'm going to say. I'm not going to actually say their names because I don't know if they know of a YouTube channel. If they do, I'm not going to leak their names. So to explain it, I worked there for the first 2 or so weeks. It was tough. I didn't know anything about how the systems worked, how to, like if there's a broken item, where do you put it? And for the first week, it was really tough. Like, it was one of those tough jobs that it was way tougher than I thought. But then eventually, it wasn't. It was really fun. There's a bunch of moments where we had lunches, we had, meetings together. Now, at the very end, I'm going to tell 2 stories about this. I'm just giving you a little bit of background. Now, to start off, the grudge that I have was my boss, which I don't even remember his name. Now, my boss was a stickler for speed. He was the kind of guy who wanted everything done within So I work like an 8-hour shift. He wanted it done within 4. He wanted it done, bam, bam, bam. Basically something like that. He wanted the jobs done quicker every single time. Unreasonably fast. And remember, I've only started working there a month, maybe 2 months, and he already called me and is like, hey, you gotta work fast, man. You gotta work fast. How? How do I work faster? I've just been there a week. So in return, eventually I did get faster. Had my moments of shoving my hand in jars of broken glass. You know, standard retail stuff. But eventually, the meetings of that would become so common that it was like once every month he would call me in his office and be like, hey man, you gotta speed this up. You gotta speed this up. Now, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not the fastest. In fact, I'm like a block of tungsten with wheels that barely function. Like the wheels that fall off every few minutes. But I still try my best to get things done. And I did better. I did get a few raises in between, but he never gave me a smile. He never gave me a smirk. He never said good job. He was always the thing that get faster every time, which I'll give him credit. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. But to best explain it, most of the time, it was a good job. Like, I remember, like, there's a few meetings I had to go to, but that was about it. But that boss, I never, in my life, knew that people could be so strict on, like, just movement. Everyone was moving at the same pace I was. Yeah, I was getting called in the office. But, I'll be fully honest, probably my fault for being a little bit slow, so whoop-de-doo. Now, the next part of the job that really grinded my gears. Now, I'm not scared to talk about this guy. Instead, I'm going to say this guy, the guy's name was T, but I'll give him a name so that you kind of have an idea of who this is. Thompson. Let's just call him Thompson, okay? I don't really have a name for him, so let's call him Thompson. Thompson was a new worker that started like 5 months into my job. Now, Thompson, if you thought I was bad, Thompson was a fight instigator. Basically, imagine victim mentality times 5. Basically, Thompson was the guy that was blind. Basically, to best give a little short definition, Thompson had vision problems. So imagine having vision problems while working in the backroom space that has sharp objects, sharp knives, and you're all standing at a table, right? But at the same time, barely doing your job to begin with. Basically, Thompson was the kind of guy to just barely do his job. If you asked him, hey, can you pass me my knife? Sorry, I cannot see. I don't have my glasses. But but let's say he needed something and you said, no, I'm a bit busy. He would try and bug you until you did it. He was that kind of person. And we all at the table, all the workers, 3 others, got sick of his shit immediately. We got sick of him. Eventually, Thompson also did something that I like to call employee negligence, which basically just meant, like, let's say someone wasn't feeling good that day. Like, I remember this situation happening. To start it off, I was sick. Like, to start this off, I had the common cold, which, if you don't know, I have allergies, which means that whenever I get a common cold, those allergies make it go from a pretty standard, like, oh no, I'll deal with it later, to it's gonna be literal hell until that cold goes away. Like, you can't breathe levels of cold. And the downside to this whole thing is that you can't really be cold sick one day because of the amount of work needed to be done in the building and the amount of backroom stuff. So to start it off, it began with me calling the boss. I call him up. Hey boss, I'm not feeling very good. I have a cold, yada yada yada. The boss then asks, what do I have? And I explain the symptoms. He then says, you're fine. Here's the thing. Task one of your employees to pick up your slack. I don't remember what it was. It was pick up your slack, or like, we don't have any other employees, so go tell them yada yada yada, just to make sure, so that they know that it might be a bit tougher day. And this is a day where my boss wasn't a Strickler piece of absolute dog water. And so I was like, alright, fair enough, yeah, I can do that, thank you, sir. And he never said you're welcome and just hang up the phone, like midway through my cat, thank you, sir. And then he just hang up. So I didn't even say have a good day. So I call up P. Hey P, can I don't feel good, I might not be able to come into work. Oh no, it's fine. Hey Jay, I might not be able to come to work. It's fine. And that was when I went to Thompson and I told him, hey Thompson, I might not be able to make it to work. Immediately, Thompson goes into berate of how he can barely keep up with the work, and that if I don't come in, we'll be behind schedule, and then he'll report me, yada yada yada. And then he'll talk to manager about this. Yeah, you get the whole point. And so I was like, yeah, I can't go to work. I don't feel good. Immediately after this moment, I get a call from the boss saying, hey, I know you're not feeling good, but I need you to come into work to pick up the slack. Thompson doesn't feel safe doing the half job that he can't finish. And I'm like, but sir, I don't feel good. Standard, like, I don't want to get people sick. I don't care, just wear a mask, all that. If you don't, I will have to write you up for not showing up to work. And so, I remember my job, so this is like on a Sunday. So the store opens later on Sunday. So the store opens at 12, so it's like not really the latest. So I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Fine, I'll come into work. And so I get ready for work. I drive there. At the time, I was learning how to drive, so drove my car there, and then my mom took it home. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And so while I'm working, Thompson's like, man, you look like crap. I hope you don't get us sick, like mocking me. And throughout my day, P was worried about me, but Thompson just laughed at it like it was funny. The day ended, I went home, and I called out of work for the next few days because at this point, P and everyone else said I didn't look good, and at this point, boss said I couldn't work the next few days until it got better. And yeah, I'll be fully honest, Thompson was mad at me for that entire reason. So that's the first incident. The next incident takes place about a month later, where Thompson, well, I guess I can say it like this. Thompson is a very sturdy, strong person. He can handle colds really well. But Thompson also had a very slight bad issue of over-exaggerating things. So, now that I'm back to this, a month later, Thompson calls me in saying that he calls in. So it was my day off. Like, to best explain it, I had weekends off, but I had a doctor's appointment during that day. So Thompson basically was like, hey man, I can't make it work. I don't feel good. I have a common cold. I need you to take my place. How he normally is. And I'm like, man, I can't. I'm going to a doctor's for blood work and all that. Then he starts talking about, again, this is where he starts going on the ramble of how he does everything for me and I don't do for him. And I then told him straight to his face on the phone, yeah man, look, you did this to me last time when I was sick. I can't do it, okay? I'm sorry. Try and figure it out with the boss. Maybe you can get the day off. I don't know. Pretty standard. It works out. But eventually, I didn't get to work today. I did not go to work. So, yeah. And this was on a Wednesday. The next day I come in, my boss calls me into his office. So Thompson said you bullied him. Is that true? Thompson is sitting in the office with a smug-ass look. My words were no, because I told him I couldn't help him because I had a doctor's appointment. That boss then goes to ask, couldn't you just reschedule it? I mean, it's just a doctor's appointment. And to best explain it, I haven't gotten blood work. To best say this, I haven't gotten blood work in 3 years. And this was like a really big moment of I need to get this blood work done. And this was the only time they had it this month before they had another opening in the next 2. So, yeah, I had to go. Eventually, he then said, well, I'm going to write you up for a strike since you didn't really help out your worker. And then I was confused, like genuinely confused to the point, because I did nothing wrong. I was just trying to help out this guy, and I couldn't help him. I had a doctor's appointment, and I got written up for it, and his smug face grew wider. He then, when we walked out of the office back to the back room, he then says in a smug-ass tone, enjoy that strike, you should have helped me. And I wanted to punch that man. I wanted to I can't show it, but I wanted to slug punch that man in the face. Now, to best explain it, there was 2 other instances. One before he got fired, and one after he got fired. To best explain it, before he got fired, so I'm going to cut this one short for you. This guy got fired eventually. Yeah, he got fired for stealing from the front because he didn't want to pay for his stuff. So eventually, one day, Thompson walks in with a bag of chips. And I know that these chips these are the Bed Bath Beyond brand, like, potato chips. And I asked him, hey, did you pay for those? They're like, no, man, they're free for employees. And I looked at him, like me, P, S, and J looked at him. And I told him, you gotta pay for those, man. Those ain't free. Well, I mean, you work here, so you might as well get it for free, right? I mean, why would you pay for them? Immediately after, Jay was like, man, you gotta pay for those. You can get us in trouble back here. And so eventually, the manager walks in. Hey, did anyone buy those chips for him? Because I'm guessing the boss was at the window. And I should have explained this in the building. In both Bed Bath Beyonds, the manager's office is like on the first floor. But in this location, it was on a second story that was built next to the bathroom. So like you walk up a few stairs next to where the bathrooms are, and then you have this upstairs office area that kind of just watches over the whole store. That's literally all it is. And he's like, and so the boss comes in and like, hey, Thompson, did you pay for those items? Thompson then looks at me and says, well, Kevin was going to buy them, but he didn't pay me back yet. It's like, Kevin, did you pay Thompson back? My words were no joke. Thompson took those from the front, and Thompson took those and said those were free. Thompson then back statements himself and says that I'm the one lying. Like he thinks he's the one lying. He thinks he's the one innocent. Now, I was about to get a second strike with this situation, but then P was like, no, that's what he literally just said right now. Immediately after, Thompson then says, you're both liars because I can't see and I'm disabled. That is literally his words, not mine. With Jay then saying, you do this every time you get caught for something. You took them from the front, you said it that they were free for employees. Yada, yada, yada. He gets to the office, and he gets 2 strikes, if I remember correctly. One was for lying about an employee to get them in trouble. The second one was for stealing company property, which that sounds kind of petty, not to be honest, with like, oh, you stole a bag of chips, you're getting fired for that. No, but like, Bed Bath Beyond wasn't doing good at the moment. Like, they were doing a horrible, like, financially. So I can fully understand that. Plus, here's the thing. this wasn't the first time, because they then went on the camera system over last week and saw that every single day he took a bag of chips from it and told no one except for today. Or that day specifically, so that happened. Now, that was it. He was mad at me. Throughout the next week, he kept taking my box cutter, he would hide it somewhere there, and to best explain it, we all got 10 box cutters per month, which means if we lost one, or if one went missing, or something like that, we have spares. He would then take the box of my spares and put them on a high shelf and tell me to get them because he couldn't reach, even though he used a ladder to put them up there. Which was a dick move in general, and it pissed me off all the time. And this was only started happening after. Eventually, he started complaining about me after that, about how I wasn't doing my job and I was going too slow, returning the comments to work faster because Thompson was saying it. And it was annoying. But eventually, karma came back to bite him. And I swear, it was one of the best moments in my life. One day, Thompson comes in with, no joke, the most angry face a human could make, and walked up to me. His words, "Do you know you got me in trouble, you got me in trouble yesterday?" That was his words. I asked him what he meant. Like, I was genuinely confused. He explained that because of my complaint, that he was banned, that unless he showed proof he could pay for something, he couldn't go to the front desk. Yeah. I told the people in the front about him, and they stopped him from buying his favorite thing because he didn't have his debit or credit card and only had like bags of change. Trust me, I don't know why I didn't let him buy anything, but it's funny. Basically, immediately after he frog in my throat. Eventually, he looks at me, grabs my box of knives, and throws them at me. And I should mention that one of them was opened, because he didn't, well, not opened per se. Basically, the knives pop open when force is pushed on them. So, I remember he threw the box of knives at me. One of them broke open right next to me and splattered the spare 3 blades inside, because the blades knives we have, I might show it on YouTube eventually. They're these like yellow box cutter knives that you kind of like unscrew the back, or you pop the back with a little hinge, and basically that's how you'd get the spare blades if they don't go dull, you know. Stupid stuff. Eventually, one of those knives almost nicks me, and I then realized that this guy is a threat. Like, I took that as a genuine threat, and so I was gonna walk it off. Originally, I saw the threat. Like, I saw it as a complete and utter threat, but I walked off like, it's fine. He's gonna get his karma eventually. I don't want to be a bothersome. I don't want to bug the manager. He's very busy enough with enough issues. And then P is like, that's too far. Kevin, I'm gonna take you to the office so we can figure this out. And so basically, Thompson looks pissed. Like, he looks like he's about to throw another box at me. But he then stops and goes back to work, realizing he's gonna get in trouble, and acts like nothing happened. Basically, he tries to play it off. Then me and P head to the office. Me and P go up there, and we talk to the boss. The whole conversation went, in summary, basically was like, hey, I need to talk about something important. Oh, what's it about? It's about Thompson. Okay, what happened? Well, Thompson threw a box of the Kevin Spear knives at me. And immediately after, the boss is like, are you sure? Are you sure he didn't just fall off a shelf? And my boss is trying to protect this guy for some damn reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And my coworker has the face of an angry Hispanic mother and goes and says, Look at his arm. Now, to mention, I didn't want to say this before because YouTube is very strict about like cuts or bruises. I had a gash. It wasn't bleeding, but I had 4 thin gashes, very small, not enough to bleed. Like, they were slightly bleeding. I showed paper towel, or not paper towel, I was covering my hand. An idea. I can't remember how to explain this properly. I had 4 thin gashes on my arm that were from the edge of the blade hitting me, but not cutting me. So, like, you could clearly see them on the bottom half of my right side of my hand, like when you go to block. And he looks at him. Are you sure he didn't cut himself? Manager has reinforced that. P immediately goes, check the cameras, please. This is bad. He threw the box at him. Manager doesn't want to do this, but grunts and does it anyway. Immediately, his face goes from, I don't believe you, to, oh my god, that actually happened. And basically does the intercom system. Thompson, please come to the office, please, thank you. I am shooken up. Like, I'm mad, I'm shooken up, and I am not in the best mood to talk. So I asked the boss if I could just head back to work. But the boss says no, and that he needs my testimony in case there's a liar. Yada, yada, yada. You know, that kind of shit. So, in return, Thompson walks in with the face of confusion. Obviously, it's not real, but he goes and like, hey, what's going on? Boss goes like, so I heard from this employee and that employee that you threw a box of knives at him. He then stutters, says, no, I am a good worker. Why would I ever do that? And then P goes and says, bullshit. I saw it happen. It's clear on the cameras. He then stares at her and says, it never happened. You're just crazy. Like, Jesus Christ. My boss then points to my arm and says he just cut himself. Remember, he's slow. Which pissed me off. Now, this guy was working for a month. Or like a few months, like at least 2. So he got fired quickly. Immediately after this, the boss then shows him the camera of... Because there is like a big old bulb, like light bulb camera on the ceiling. And just, alright, then what is this camera tell? He then goes quiet and says that he accidentally tossed it, even though on the camera you can see a forceful throw. The boss then looks at me and P and says, well, I guess you can both go. You can go do your thing. Go back to work. In here, take some of these. And they were bandages. Obviously, I wasn't bleeding. But there were some deep cuts that were red. So I guess it's like a safety measure. You know, I like that. The next day or so, Thompson doesn't come to work. Then 2 days pass after the first day he didn't come to work. And he wasn't in work either. And we did not know what happened. No one knows where he went. We don't know what happened to him, where he is, and so on. To best explain it, he was fired that day, told to pack his shit and leave. Now, I'll give my boss credit. This gave me a bit of respect for him. But he kept Thompson at the work site, even though Thompson was clearly not in the right position for it. So, yeah. By the end of it, by the end of that situation, I kind of enjoyed the rest of my shifts. I had to quit maybe working there because of college after 2021. And my boss got fired for working for not fully paying his employees about a week after I left. Now, do I wish I can still work at Bed Bath Beyond? Would I stay there more if I had a chance to? Yes. I would have 100% stayed, but college is my whole goal point in life, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fun of it, the entertainment value. Hell, even going and opening crates for fun was entertaining. I mean, now I work at Walgreens, which is still really fun. I get to deal with customers and Karens. They make a Karen story one day. But for now, I wanted to say, if you ever have an employee doing this, actually talk to management, because this is actually like serious problems. There are people like that in the work industry. If I had to deal with one of them, I don't know how many other people had to deal with them just at the exact same level or worse. So yeah, that's about it for the video. I don't really have anything else to say other than thank you for watching this video. Yeah, I know that it's just like a spinning circle on a black background, but the whole point of this video specifically, or these series of videos, is that it's going to be specifically for people who can't watch it. Like, I know stories, like, I've heard the Redditor stories, and when I'm working, I use Redditor stories to keep me going, or like, when a Karen got arrested at my job, or like there's no video, it's just a storyboard, and it's like a really cool background, which in my opinion is really cool, but I want to be more original about it and make stories about legitimately my work experience. So yeah, that's about it. I don't have any more stories about that specifically, unless you want to hear about my experience while working at Home Goods, but I might take a break from this series. If you want to see more stories like this, or you really enjoy this, don't forget how to follow, like, and sub. We are very close to 10,000 subscribers. Please do that. It is a great experience. You will enjoy it so much, and my content isn't for everybody, but it is for the fun people. So if you enjoy this and you're a fun person, subscribe. Do it. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day.